Hi and welcome to my book review video today. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your time with me and actually clicking through to this video today. So if you are new, thank you, and if you are old, thank you so much for your support and always coming back to come and watch my videos. It's always really a privilege and an honor for me to be able to do this. I'll just do a quick introduction of who I am, especially if you're new, and what all of this is about. My name is Oyinda Sonya, and I am the host of the Book Club. And of course, the real reason why I do these videos is to encourage people to read and have a love for reading. I do book review videos, and my book review videos are slightly different in the sense that I don't just tell you about the book and give you the review and say, oh, this is a really good book. I try to read a portion of one of the books or the book I'm reading and give you some actionable tips that you can take away and apply to your life, even if you never read the book. I would always prefer that you read the book, but even if you never read the book, you can actually, you take away something from this time that you're going to spend with me. So today I'm going to be doing something that I always do at the end of every month or the beginning of the month, which is to do a review of all of the books that I read in the previous month. And so obviously I'm going to be doing a review of the books that I read in the month of June 2021. And June 2021 was a really strange one in the reading front for me, which is in the sense that I read 4 books. Still reading 4 books, but I actually only finished 1. So I'll explain as I go along in the video. So this is my book pile for the month of June 2021. But of this book pile, I actually only finished 1 book, and it was a really small book. And it just goes to show you that even people who read a lot, sometimes, especially if you're someone who reads variety of books, and I read a variety of books because I read across genres and I read for various reasons. So I don't just have 1 book. A lot of people read 1 book and then they finish that book, but I read for a variety of reasons. So the first book that I finished the only book that I finished in June 2021 was So Long a Letter by Mariam Abba. And this book holds a special place in my heart because it was the book that I wrote. I did a comparative analysis on this book for my undergraduate degree. My undergraduate degree is in English literature, and so this was the book that I wrote my final year dissertation on. So I did a comparative analysis between this book and another book, and kind of juxtapose the characters within both books, and it's always held a special place in my heart. And I decided to read it again in the month of June, and when I read it, I was like, I can understand and I remember why I love this book so much. The use of imagery, it's a letter from a friend to another of her friends talking about some of the issues that they faced in their marriages and in an emerging post-colonial Senegal. And it was such a great read. I was like, oh my god, it took me down memory lane, but it also tackled a lot of things, a lot of issues about society. It talked about the place of women. I wrote my final year dissertation, like I said earlier, was feminism in Islam, and it just really reminded me why I really enjoyed the book the first time that I ever read it. So it's one that I would really recommend. It's a small read as well, so you can finish it in a number of days. The second book that I read, or that I'm still reading because I haven't finished it, and it's also a reread, it's a book that I've read before, is Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, and it's the book that I'm going to be reading a portion of on the video today. But it's one that I love Malcolm Gladwell's writing. I've read most of his books. I've read David and Goliath, The Tipping Point, Outliers, and a couple of others. So it's one that I'm going to be reading from today. And the third book, which is the book that we're reading and exciting, and if you're not a member of the Book Club, the third book is the book that I'm reading with my book club, Oyibo by Adaye Anacho. But there's a slight difference, and if you are not a member of Book Club, you really need to join us, because we are going to be having the author joining us at our book club session on the 1st of August. So if you read a book and you've ever wondered, I wonder what the author was thinking when she was writing this story, this is a good opportunity for you to be able to ask the author questions. So this is the book that we're reading at the moment, and we're going to be discussing it on the 1st of August, and we're going to have the author join us as well. So if you want to join us, please do. I'm going to put the link to join the Book Club in the description box of this video. The 4th book as well that I haven't finished, so as I said, I didn't really finish any book in June, is A Search for Significance. This is another book that I'm reading with another book club that I coordinate, the Chapters Book Club. I belong to a community of women called the Super Abundant Women, and I coordinate the book club in that community, and we're reading A Search for Significance by Robert McGee. Seeing Your Through What Through God's Eyes. Oh my God, this book has been transformational. And the way we are reading it in the book club as well is that we're going through it chapter by chapter. We're doing workbook sessions, we're having discussions. It has been really transforming. It's made me reflect, and that's why I said, even though I haven't finished any book, even though So Long Lesser is the only book that I finished this in June, it just feels like I have actually read books that have had such an impact on me, even though I haven't actually finished reading them. And that's one point that I actually wanted to share with you as well today. A lot of times it's people really worry about the quantity of books that they're reading. And while it's good to be able to tick off and say, oh, I read 20 books or I read 40 books, sometimes it's the impact that the book has in your life. I would rather you read one book in 3 months, and you know that book has such a profound impact on your life, and you're able to take some of the things that you read in that book and apply it to your life. And if sometimes you don't apply it, you just have that residual knowledge that you have there and that you can always refer back to. So don't feel bad I sometimes always feel a bit skeptical doing this, because people always think, oh, you read a lot and all of that. We all have different times and different seasons where sometimes you read more, sometimes you don't read a lot. So like I said, I'm going to be reading from Outliers. I'm going to be reading a portion of the book. I'm trying to make this video not too long today. So I'm going to be reading, and as I said, I haven't actually finished it yet, and I hope to finish it within the next couple of weeks. But I'm going to read a portion of the book, and I'll just give you my thoughts on it as well. So it's from part 3 of the book called The Trouble with Geniuses. So I'll quickly read it and then I'll tell you my thoughts on it. And then you can just, ponder on it as we go along. The particular skill that allows you to talk your way out of a murder rap or convince your professor to move you from the morning to the afternoon section is what the psychologist Robert Sternberg calls practical intelligence. To Sternberg, practical intelligence includes things like knowing what to say to whom, knowing when to say it, and knowing how to say it for maximum effect. It is procedural. It is about knowing how to do something without necessarily knowing why you know it or being able to explain it. It's practical in nature. That it's not knowledge for its own sake, it's knowledge that helps you read situations correctly and get you what you want. And critically, it is a kind of intelligence separate from the sort of analytical ability measured by IQ. To use the technical term, general intelligence and practical intelligence are orthogonal. The presence of one doesn't imply the presence of the other. You can have lots of analytical intelligence and very little practical intelligence, or lots of practical intelligence and not too much analytical intelligence. Or as in the lucky case of someone like Robert Oppenheimer, you can have lots of both. So where does something like practical intelligence come from? We know where analytical intelligence comes from. It's something, at least in part, that's in your genes. Prince Langan started talking at 6 months. He taught himself to read at 3 years of age. He was born smart. IQ is a measure to some degree of innate ability, but social savvy is knowledge. It's a set of skills that have to be learned. It has to come from somewhere, and the place where we seem to get this kinds of attitudes and skills is from our families. And so this, if you have read, or if you followed Marco, if you've ever read Outliers, and if you haven't read Outliers is just a book where Malcolm Gladwell is trying to look at what makes some people successful. And he goes through a lot of case studies of people who are really born with really high IQs. Basically, he's trying to say there's a wide range of factors. We like to think about genius, and we like to think these people that make it, so to speak, or are successful is because of certain things. They've got this particular set of skills and all of that, but he's trying to say that they're a wide range of things. So in this particular part of the book, he was trying to juxtapose 2 people who had exactly the same IQ, and why one was able to get success in life and the other wasn't able to get that much success. And he talked about something called practical intelligence, which is the part of the book that I read, which is kind of different from the the intelligence quotient and the analytical knowledge, or when someone is really brainy. And it's social savvy, knowing the knowledge of knowing what to say, what not to say it. And my thoughts from the book is, it is so true. A lot of times people, if you work in the corporate sector, if you work in an establishment, even if you work in business, sometimes you come across people who are really smart, who've got they're really skilled and they've got the technical ability. But what doesn't make them move to the next level is that ability to be able to get along with people, know what to say to people, to be able to manage people, to be able to speak to people. And it just got me thinking about how this ties into self-awareness. And this is not saying that you should try and mold yourself into the mold of all of the people around you, because you want to be original, you want to be authentic, you want to stay what's true to yourself. But it is worth knowing that we need to understand, because we're social animals, as in we're social. I don't like the word animals for humans, but you know what I mean. We're social beings, and we want to interact with the people around us. And unfortunately, there are a lot of things that we can do for ourselves, but there are a lot of things that we need others to do for us. So we need to influence people to come to our side. We need to influence people to do the things that we want them to do, or we also need to get people to buy into what we need them to do for us to be able to get our goals. And a lot of times we need to be able to carry people along with us. So basically what I'm trying to say today is, it might be good for you if you find yourself that you're someone that is not able to, what's the word I'm looking for here? You're not able to sell across ideas to people. It might be good to take a step back to self-awareness, ability to step back and understand, what skills do I need to be able to hone for me to be able to get people, to be able to influence people. There are a lot of books about the subject. I'm sure there's a popular one called how to win friends and influence people, which is one that is very popular in that genre. And there are a lot of other ones, as in, there was even one I read last year called I can't remember what it's called, but there was one I read last year that kind of talks about how you need to, hone your interpersonal skills. But if you're someone who kind of struggles with, trying to influence people and get people to see your point, I think it's a good one to read. But it's also something that you can begin to think of and begin to see, how do I react in situations? Is it that I'm saying things in the wrong time? Is it that I'm saying the wrong things? Just take an assessment of yourself and try to see how you can make it better. It's something I'm going to give you a practical example. Sometimes as a parent, I kind of expect my children to kind of know, or when I say something and I get upset with the fact that they're not getting what I'm saying. But over time, I've started thinking about it and saying, okay, maybe I think they know what I'm saying. Maybe I need to say it to them in a different way. Or maybe I kind of expect them to understand what I'm saying because I'm an adult and I process it in a different way. Maybe it's time for me to process it in the way they will process it, to be able to pass across the information that I'm trying to pass across to them. So that's what I wanted to share today from the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. These were all the books that I read. I'm still reading those other 3 and I haven't finished. What did you read in the month of June? I'd really like for you to share with me. I'd love to hear from you. And as I said, I'd really love for you to come and join us in the Bookmark Book Club. It's a wonderful book community that we're building, and it's such a great place to be when we come together to discuss the books that we've read. I really hope that you really enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you.